Black Feather, they're going to get it. If they ban the Black Feather, they're going to get the Sky Weapon Power, save the last pick for Jungle Hero to counter. And with the Ardent in the Sky, you can play very aggressive, drop 2 gauntlets with the Echo, and just focus a single target with the Poison Shift that can reduce Lyra's healing.
Hunters do decide that the lesser of 2 evils will end up with a ban on Black Feather. So they do not want to deal with Black Feather. Again, it makes sense. It's such a strong pick. The flexibility of it, there's too many things that you can do in your draft when you grab the Black Feather on B side. So now Cloud9, they have free reign to choose what they want.
Yeah, with Rona, Black Feather, Vox out the picture, Sky looks really good. Baron potentially looks really good as well, but Weapon Power Sky with Poison Shiv build, Solar Blade build that we see a lot would make a lot of sense here into the competition Hunters. Hunters now can play like a Celeste with the Cruel, for example. That's something has been very popular in the East Asia and China region. So we could potentially see that. Oh, wow, and then a weapon, Adagio potentially, or lane Adagio in Old School is going to come out here.
Could even be the Crystal Adagio.
That's true.
Old School signature pick is this Adagio. He hasn't been playing it quite as much because it just simply hasn't been as strong in the meta as other picks, but it is still a standby. It's something that you know he can perform on.
I'm going to go back to the last World Championship in 2016 when Cloud9, or Old School specifically, used to play on Gangstars. One of the matches they had against Rox Armada, one of the ones they won, was on a CP Adagio that he played so phenomenally, and he just carried his team through with it. So it's definitely a hero that he's played very, very well in the past, and he can replicate it, or at least he's hoping that he can replicate past performances here.
Yeah, we have Kestrel open as well, so we could potentially see a Kestrel, or are they going to go with the Celeste combo? So Kestrel is going to come out here. Samuel is also open. That's a classic East Asia and China composition. So much lane sheet, so much pressure. Good into Adagio because he doesn't have mobility and can get locked down. So given that, if they do that, then Cloud9 will probably go with Kashka here.
This is going to be a CP Fortress for Cloud9. Give me that CP Fortress. Plays so well against the Kestrel because with the Wolves, you can block the Glimmer shots. Plays really well against Lyra because of the Mortal Wounds. And with the Weapon Power Adagio, you can easily follow up with the damage. I'm not sure if Cloud9 want to show that just yet, though. So it's going to be dependent on whether they want to reveal it early on in the tournament
Is
or not.
it really revealing it, though? I mean, they played it so many times during the regular season. We know that is a pick that they have. So it very well could come out here, but they could also just go for something a little bit more conventional to try and deal with what Hunters are bringing to the table. You know that Hunters are likely going to be going for that heavy siege style, although not going for the Samuel kind of makes me raise my eyebrows a little bit because it's not going to be that full-on siege composition that we've seen out of the Asian regions.
Yeah, so let's see if that Kashka or that Fortress comes out, and that Fortress is going to be picked, which is, like Iraqi said, a super nice counter against not only Lyra, but Kestrel as well because of the Wolves.
Honestly, when you look at the roster right here for Cloud9, it's pretty much signature picks across the board right here. This is what we typically, these are kind of the highlight picks for each of these individual players on Cloud9. And when they just had a very handed victory on picks that we don't necessarily know them for directly like this, and then they go on to these comfort picks, you've got to be a little bit nervous for Hunters coming on into this game. But I want to ask you guys, are you nervous for Hunters, or are you believing in them? What are the predictions coming into this game, Sweet J?
Well, Hunter doesn't have a bad draft. Early game, they can siege. The ultimate from Baptiste, the Fearsome Shade, can push the Wolves away. So they could have a chance, but Cloud9 has been playing so well that I think they're probably going to execute this comp extremely strong against Hunters.
Cloud9 once again.
So much of what Hunter's going to do is going to rely on, can they get the siege on the turrets? Yeah. Can they get the objective focus? And Cloud9 is a team that has been so good at preventing that objective focus. I think Cloud9 are taking this one as well. Right.
Yeah, I'll have to go with Cloud9. They're just a really strong team, and Hunters, I don't think I need to see them show me something to beat the Cloud9 before I can go with them.
They have to prove it before you're willing to commit your prediction. All right, well, it's time to get on into this one. We have a Cloud9 desk once again. It's time to pass it up for game number 2. Over to our casters. It's Medic and Ex-Scoundrel.
Thank you very much, Munch. And the desk may be blue, but I'm pretty sure Cloud9 are very happy after that Game 1 victory. Strong performance by them. Didn't really look like there was much Hunters could do to win that game.
Yeah, there was a small glimmer of hope with that solo kill at the start. Felt like they could maybe work things through. I thought the Poison Shiv was a good pickup, but didn't get that enough gold onto the Black Feather to make him powerful enough to be a threat in these fights. And unfortunately, Cloud9 knew how to focus down that Sky every time. But a new game, New Halcyon Fold, new picks, new draft.
I hope it's the same Halcyon Fold. Do you make a new one after each game? Are there like tiny Halcyon architects that rebuild the entire thing? They put the turrets down. It's the minions.
Exactly.
The minions work so hard and then they get killed as the game progresses. But we are going to jump onto our brand new and improved Halcyon Fold. Cloud9 up against Hunters in game 2 here of the quarterfinals.
What do you think the minions do when they're not in game, mate?
They probably relax and then think about the fact that in a few minutes they're going to run out to their deaths along the lane. Like, I wouldn't be too happy if I were a minion in Vainglory.
Old School on his famed Adagio. I Love Joseph also going to be bringing something that he has played infrequently as well. He's played this CP Fortress in the jungle a little bit from time to time. I imagine Old School is going to go for a weapon power Adagio, but you can never tell with Cloud9. Going to wait a little bit longer. It would make sense. It allows them to split their damage, which is also really good, especially against things like Batiste. It forces them to potentially consider armor, which is obviously great because Batiste otherwise would just go for an Aegis and full CP. But Cloud9 do what they do usually, rotate, share every single camp on their rotation from in to out, and Gabe Bizzle holds the lane as the same way Hunters push.
Getting that 3-man push on early. We have seen some strong Batistes across the course of the tournament. Bad Mojo can do a lot of damage. Harmonious on the Kestrel as well. Very intrigued to see how effective he can be. We saw Ace Gaming earlier on bring out the CP Kestrel, but Harmonious is going to go down that weapon power path. And you can do a lot of work if you position yourself correctly.
Yeah, huge amount of siege potential with very little wave clear coming out from Cloud9, especially if this is a weapon power Adagio. So you can imagine at some point in the next few levels, next few minutes, we will see Swagyu rotate to lane. They'll use the Lyra sustain to sustain their siege and can put heavy pressure on this Cloud9 first turret.
You really want to see some minion candies as well, don't you? To try and push in, try and poke down underneath that turret. It's what we saw Pain Gaming do so well earlier on today, and Hunters will be trying to match up their Brazilian counterparts. Here comes the engage from C9 onto Godfather and Harmonious, trying to force them back. Godfather is quite low, but they're trying to target down Harmonious. Here comes Swagyu from the side, puts down the Ordained, will get some damage down onto Gabe Bizzle and Old School as well and force Cloud9 back, but Cloud9 with a signal of intent early on in this game.
Actually, I think Joseph spent most of the time trying to basic attack Harmonious. They maybe could have turned onto Lyra there and put pressure onto her. She'd already used her flask, and she was potentially a good target for Joseph. Again, just forces and relieves the pressure on lane, though, for Cloud9. That's kind of what the aim of the game is going to be for them. And as Old School buys up towards a Poison Shiv, it will confirm that it is going to be the weapon power Adagio. Probably clever. You need a Poison Shiv in this game versus the Lyra.
100%. Lyra's healing. We've seen how devastating it can be if you don't have an answer to it. Getting up to the point where those Imperial Sigils can heal for 700, 800 health if you've got enough health behind it. I'm so interested in these games, Excalibur, because it's so rare that we get to see the top teams from two regions battle it out. You know, Hunters only lost a single game throughout their split coming in here. Cloud9 were dominant for a long time and had probably a poor summer split, you can say. Still performed incredibly well, but we've had a bit of a clash of heads in game one. Cloud9 looked dominant. Is there a way for Hunters to get back in this series?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're doing the right thing right now. They have huge lane pressure. If they can take turrets first off Cloud9, if they can open up the map the same way that Cloud9 does to every other team, it might put Cloud9 on the back foot. We haven't seen Cloud9 come from a deficit yet. They have been in the lead in every single game that they have played from the very get-go. We have not seen them come back. So if Hunters can push that turret, open the map, control global objectives like that gold miner, we haven't seen Cloud9 come back from a situation like that.
We have seen Hunters play up against TSM earlier in the day, actually. It was early hours of this morning that they fought against each other, and it was a 1-1 tie in the group stages between those two. So by the transitive property of game win, C9 should take this series because C9 are better than TSM, and TSM were better than Hunters. But Vainglory is a tricky game, and fate can make fools of us all, so Hunters will continue to challenge up against C9. Really slow early game here, but Hunters have been able to push down on towards that turret.
The more and more that C9 can do to defend this first tier turret, the better it is for their composition. They are going to be forced back here. The wave clear just isn't that good from these guys. Here comes Hunters.
Hunters pushing forward, did use a minion candy on that last wave, but weren't able to get too much more damage down. They're waiting for the next. No candies in their inventory, so this is just going to be a naive push if they can get towards the turret, but still Harmonious unable to get the damage down on towards the turret itself. Gabriel jumps in, Bright Bulwark comes out. Sigil as well used on towards the Kestrel to keep him alive.
Cloud9 are in a tough position right now. You really can't do much with Fortress until you hit that Aftershock power spike. That Aftershock power spike is what defines CP Fortress. So they're going to have to wait for that to come through before they really start to churn out the damage that we know this guy can do. But Cloud9 again and again, I don't know whether this is just Hunter's reluctant to push without that fountain online, which they do have now online. Godfather's picked that up. But I feel like this turret could have gone down by now. Cloud9 have done a great job of rotating up to defend it. They have committed Joseph to aggressive moves to push Hunters back. But Hunters have got a wave advantage right now, and they're going to continue that push.
Aftershock still not online for Joseph, though. Does have the Storm Guard banner to try and clear out that jungle a little bit easier. Swagyu now with an Aftershock of his own, so maybe Hunters will look for a fight soon. Harmonious goes back, gets a 6 sins, spends some of his gold as well, but still both these teams tentative around making too much of a play.
Fortress is one of the only junglers, by the way, that I would ever recommend a Storm Guard banner. Sometimes you need it on Taka, but very rarely if people just start going double weapon blade. He really has a poor jungle play without it. Looks like they have got the rotate here. Hunters should get the first turret for free.
Old School's on his way, but Harmonious with a few more arrows from his quiver will be able to take down the first turret.
Now this is uncharted territory for Cloud9. We haven't seen them at a deficit in terms of map pressure. They have always been the ones controlling the map and pushing the turrets, taking the gold mine, blah, blah, blah. Hunters now have the opportunity to do that same thing to C9. They can be the ones pushing the gold miner, drawing C9 into a fight. It's whether they think they're confident enough to take a fight and win it, especially now that Fortress has finished up his Aftershock.
But Godfather has his flare gun, ex-scoundrel, and we know how big a spike that is on Lyra.
It's actually, the thing is, you know, I kind of blamed Contraption last time, but honestly, Contraption on Lyra is not half bad. Lyra on the new update, 2.11, when she has her healing stacking nerfed, can go Null Wave Gauntlet into Contraption for maximum cooldown reduction and maximum annoyingness in teamfights. I still think I would prefer a Crucible against an Adagio, for instance, a Crucible against an Arden Gauntlet, but do you know what? He obviously has his reasons. Maybe the cooldown reduction is super worth it.
I agree with it worth the gauntlet, but we so rarely see a weapon power Adagio actually channel the Verse of Judgment. Here comes the gauntlet, but Hunters are willing to fight in there. Great fear with the fearsome shade. Joseph jumping in, looking for the damage on towards that Lyra. Can't quite get it though. Nor on towards Swagyu. The gold mine is still aggroed here as C9 start to beat a hasty retreat back through their jungle. Swagyu is the one to step forward. Healing has come out from the fountain. Joseph there in the midst of the team. Hunters backing away once again. That Baptiste just about surviving, but here come the glimmers, and here comes Harmonious. A cacophony of glimmer shots coming out across the members of C9. The Bat Mojo as well, not quite enough. And the gold miner is helping out C9 for the time being. But Hunters do force C9 back out of the jungle.
First time we've seen C9 go for a global objective and being pushed away from it, and now Hunters are the one that are going to go straight for it. Their fountain coming off cooldown in just 20 seconds. They still have the healing from Godfather 2. Can Cloud9...
Looking for the steal, they can steal it away. Gabe Bizzle.
Oh no, that was just too easy.
Just walks up to it, blood for blood's enough. Blood for a gold mine is exactly what Gabe Bizzle got.
Cloud9 with a brilliant steal keeps them well in the running here. Harmonious is going to go back, tail between their legs, clear the wave. Hunters should not have given that away. They should have been a little bit more aggressive to defend. I think they had Fearsome Shade up. They could have maybe tried to cast that to sort of brush them away.
There's a breaking point on Old School now as well. That's what that extra little bit of gold from the gold mine gets you. Breaking point. Harmonious goes for a Tyrant's Monocle, second on the Kestrel, looking for that crit out on the Arrow Mistress.
Yeah, just probably going to go for another Tyrant's Monocle following this. It's a very classic Kestrel build. You don't get the same level of damage on Weapon Power Kestrel on the update 2.10 than you used to, but you do get extra pierce as you go through those levels. So it still does, as we've seen throughout this tournament, can still do a significant amount of damage.
Both teams gathering up for a fight again. They're trying to jump on towards Harmonious, who goes into the active camera. The gauntlet comes down, double stun from that, but Hunters are able to back away from the cage. No fight needed just yet. Maybe they can re-engage. Fish and Shade is available. The Crucible still up for Gabe Bizzle alongside the fountain. Godfather has a fountain of his own. The attack of the pack as C9 try and collapse on towards Harmonious, but they can't quite get the damage down. Gabe Bizzle went deep. Joseph there as well. He's getting Swagyu incredibly low and will be able to take down the Baptiste eventually, but C9 do have blinking health bars on their jungler. Harmonious able to defend for the time being. C9 able to take a kill in the lane.
Something that I want to mention, by the way, Medic, did you see how Old School got ordained right at the start of that fight? Wait a second, just have to make sure that no one's going down here. They are going to siege onto the turret. Old School got ordained right at the start of that fight. He didn't immediately run out with his reflex block. He knew that his team would back him up and finally engage.
And Old School goes for the chase as well. A bit of an overstay there from Hunters, but here is Swaggy. No fearsome shade for him. The Ordain comes down once again. The turret's still aggroing the minion. Harmonious has been jumped on, goes into the active camera, but can't quite get the damage down. And Old School continues just to die. Old School just doesn't care. The ace comes out, and C9 somehow all get out alive at the end. They'll take a turret, they'll take the ace, and they'll take a commanding lead in this game.
It might be a small deficit that they had to come back from, but now C9 are well in the driving seat once more. Goodness me. They know their limits so well as a team. Every time they go for a tower dive, they know exactly how much they need to rotate in and out of that tower aggression. They know who needs to tank it at a certain time. They know how much damage output they have.
They get 2 turrets off it, and Old School goes back and buys an entire Sorrow Blade on a single back. That's a lot of damage now on that Adagio.
You just don't see that often. Getting that much gold stacked up in a professional game and then going back and buying an item outright. Let's take a look at that again. Let's take a look here. That is just, again, obviously you can see that they're rotating their aggro around. They're basically sharing the body blocking for Old School. They are sharing the body blocking of those glimmer shots. Both Gabe Vizzle and Joseph are there acting as that front line, allowing Old School to then regen off his Gift of Fire and head back into the fray once he's managed to get some health back. It's wonderful transitioning, micro-transitioning as we get another fight open up here.
Good Fist and Shade will catch out 3 though, and perhaps Hunters can find an avenue to get into this game, but still, C9 just continue to push forward. The block coming out on that gauntlet, but Harmonious is low, healed up with the Sigil. Old School now finally going to join this fight, and Harmonious has nowhere to go. C9 just look unstoppable at the moment. Who can challenge these favorites from NA? I can't even think of Ace being able to challenge C9 at the moment.
C9, I think, are going to face their toughest competition tomorrow in the form of Tribe. That is a semi-final that could have very easily been a Worlds final as well. This team looks untouchable. They really do. They put one foot wrong and they immediately pivot and put the next foot right. It's just the cleanest Vainglory we have ever seen from a professional team in probably the history of Vainglory.
And it's so strong as well coming into the World Championship. You know, their summer split wasn't as good as some people predicted. They still were able to perform incredibly well, but when they get in this LAN event, when they get in the offline setting, there's just no one that can match up to them.
There just isn't. Not this year anyway. It's been proven time and time again. The big question surrounding Cloud9 was they dominated the Western Hemisphere. Would they dominate the rest? Would they match up against the rest of the world the same way they have matched up against EU and NA combined?
The rest of the world isn't looking amazing at the moment, although I think there's something to say for Impunity coming out from Singapore. Strong performance by them earlier today. And tomorrow is a new day. C9 on course to win this quarterfinal, but Hunters still have something to say about it. Old School's going to get some damage down on Godfather. The attack of the pack with the flank. That's a lot of hungry wolves diving onto the back line of Hunters. The Arcane Passage will get them out for the time being, but Joseph can just chase on towards Swaggy down towards the bottom side of this fight. The Ordained is not enough, and Joseph will get the first kill. Old School chasing in 20 broken myth stacks. Not much you can do against that at all, and C9 get 2 more kills.
He stacked that breaking point like a monster in that fight. Unbelievable. And this is kind of the theory of this composition, right? You have a single damage item Fortress. Fortress literally only needs Aftershock to become a monster. Take a look at that again. That was the flank play by Fortress. Obviously, Old School then got locked up by the Ordained, couldn't quite make it out there. But in the meantime, the body blocking of the Kestrel, that's one of the weaknesses of Kestrel, if you can body block her. And now that her damage has been reduced from that Glimmer Shot, it's a lot easier for a frontline to exist versus a Kestrel. While you have that front line, body blocking the damage from the weapon power Kestrel, you have Old School in the back line, 3 items, building breaking point stacks with a big range, slamming the pain down, and no one can touch him.
And Old School is just so comfortable on this Adagio as well. You know, it's not a pick we commonly see. It's not something people say, oh, you've got to pick weapon power Adagio or you're going to lose the game. He has just been incredible throughout this series and throughout the tournament thus far, and I don't see any laners being able to challenge him.
People always said, Old School, if you thought of Adagio, you thought of Old School, you sometimes thought of Dienzio as well. But Both of them have been renowned for playing this pick. I believe Dienzo said they don't beat, neither of them actually like playing it, but he plays it so well, he often just kind of gets given it. It's a fight.
Three-man chase through the arcane passage. There's the gauntlet as well. They're looking for Swagyu, who's on that front line. The damage coming out, and C9 looking for the first kill, just about securing it as Old School pushes forward. The second gauntlet stunned out of it, though. Good stuff here from Hunters. Maybe they can turn something around. Old School still untouched, though, and he's going to get his second kill of the fight. They'll get the turret as well. Choke point turret down 15 minutes in. Cloud9 yet to die this game.
Easy rotator Kraken as well for C9. I want to just put into perspective how difficult it is for Hunters to win these fights from this point forward. You have no feasible way of getting to the back line and dealing with Old School. You have a tanky Fortress and a tanky Arden in your way. Both Batiste and Kestrel will be body blocked. Most of their damage, Bad Mojo and Glimmer Shots get body blocked by a very beefy front line. How do you actually get onto Old School and kill him? It's almost like you have to portal your entire team directly on top of him and try and blow him up. That's nigh on impossible. Now that he's even got a metal jacket to tow, that's nigh on impossible for Hunters.
I just don't see how you get there. You've got, even if you portal in, Cloud9 then just take the portal out and they're okay, we'll just fight on opposite sides of the map. It doesn't really matter to us. Cloud9 did not take the Kraken, but they can just set up vision around it. It's not going to be too hard for them. Just start it up, try and force a fight against Hunters. If Hunters step out, Cloud9 just kill them.
Another interaction that we've seen so much across these fights as well, Medic, is the fact that Gift of Fire reveals Kestrel when she pulls out of stealth. Now she's Power Kestrel, it's not going to be stealth for very long, but you can keep tabs on her as that Gift of Fire ticks. Cloud9, I think, are going to grab this uncontested. Kestrel has gone for a Tornado Trigger to make her a more basic attack focus that might give her the flexibility needed, but I just think at this point it's too little too late. Cloud9 is steaming ahead.
Yeah, good Kraken take from Cloud9. They're looking to continue the fight, though. They don't want that Kraken to push in. They want to win the game before it. The Arcane Passage away, but Old School joins the midst of the fray, and they're going in for Harmonious. The heal is just not enough. C9 split up the Hunters, and they are now the prey. C9 will get 2 kills off the back of this, and Old School says, you guys can deal with him. I'm going to try and chase off towards the other side. Eventually, Joseph will secure this. That's going to be an ace, and that is going to be game 2 here for Cloud9. Not much that Hunters were able to do at all. An early gold lead for them, but Cloud9 just did not give them an inch.
Didn't even notice because we were so preoccupied with Cloud9 as they go to end this game. I'll talk about it afterwards because they are going to take this game.
That they are. They'll take down the crystal turrets. They'll take down the crystal itself. The Kraken didn't even need to lend a helping hand. Cloud9 do it all themselves and go 2-0 up against Hunters.